This video is going to help you find articles for your assignments in nursing. I've clicked Search the Library in Atlas, and again, it brought me to the library catalog. You may be tempted to use this yellow tab that says Articles. However, for nursing, that is not something I would recommend. Going into the healthcare databases separately will give you different kinds of options to find the right kinds of articles. We want articles written by experts, not by journalists or, Time magazine or anything like that. We want nurses, doctors, psychiatrists, any kind of healthcare professionals to be actually writing the articles we use for this course. So instead of going to the Articles tab, we're going to click Databases by Subject here at the top and look for Health and Medicine. These are all of our databases that focus on healthcare topics, and you're free to use any of these, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to choose one database. I'm going to use CINAHL Complete. That is our most robust healthcare database and probably your first step when you're doing research. Once CINAHL loads, you'll see that you have a few different keyword boxes. You want to look at your prompt. So when you have a research assignment to do, you've probably got a research question or maybe a paragraph explaining what you need to find. So you'll want to read that carefully and really try to break it down into the smallest concepts possible. So for example, if your prompt relates to drug abuse among nurses and intervention plans, you may choose something short like substance abuse and nurses. Now we separate those terms because the database will look for each individual word within the keyword boxes. So if we put an entire sentence or more in one box, it's going to cherry pick the different words. By using two separate lines here, we're telling it, the database that is, to find all the articles that say substance abuse. It's going to be pretty overwhelming. So we're also telling it that of these articles, it must also have the term nurses somewhere. Now, as you can imagine, that's still maybe not going to be the best strategy for us, but I'm choosing this so that I can show you some more ways to narrow your results. Under the keywords, you have some of the different options for the database. These aren't available through that yellow tab in the library catalog, so that's why we go to individual databases. You can, of course, change the publication date. Remember the 5-year rule. You may be tempted by the evidence-based practice button, but try not to use that if that's what you're looking for. That identifies evidence-based practice by the journal level, and not every article in an evidence-based journal is going to be evidence-based. Think of a newspaper. There are letters to the editor and things like that that aren't research-based or scholarly. As you look, you can also see you can pick the nurse as an author, the geographic subset. You want to make sure that you're using articles based in the United States because different countries have different standards of care and cultural norms and things like that. You can also pick the publication type. So this is where you can find evidence-based practice. If you keep going in the library module here in Canvas, you'll figure that out, where you can narrow down the kind of article you're looking at. Things like case studies or clinical trials, or let's see, evidence-based care sheets, that kind of information. You can also narrow it down by the age group, the sex, pregnancy, different kinds of special interest topics. I'm not going to choose anything now because I want to show you how you can narrow it down once you have search results. So I'm just going to search for substance abuse and nurses. All of my options are now here on the left side. The first thing I'm going to do is fix that publication date to 2015 to 2020. There we go. And now I've narrowed down to about 650 articles. If I keep looking here on the left side, you can see that I can narrow it down by the source type. So an academic journal is usually going to be original research, so a study or experiment. But then we have things like magazines, which might be a little easier to read and not as scholarly. So from here I can start to look at my search results by looking at the titles. But already I can see that my first result is not quite what I'm looking for. It's talking about nurses treating with substance abuse. My second article is getting a little closer, substance consumption among nurses. So as I go through the list, if I find that perhaps it's not quite what I'm looking for, I'll go back to my limiters here on the left side, and I can look at the category that says Subject Major Heading. If I click that and click Show More, it's going to look at my 650 search results and pull out all the main topics that are covered in those articles. So of course you could see topics like substance abuse in nurses, but one we may not have thought of, you can see here, is impairment of a health professional. And there's only going to be 40 articles that cover that topic. And you can continue looking through. Once you're happy with the amount of topics you've chosen, you can click Update. And that should really steer our results in the direction that we're looking for. So as we scroll a little more, we can see some of the articles we had in our last search results, but we're getting a little bit closer to what we're looking for. So if you find an article whose title is interesting to you, you can click on that, and it brings you to the abstract page, which is really where you get some information about the article. So you can see who the author is, what kind of affiliation they have. Are they a professor? Are they a practicing healthcare professional? It gives us our major subjects. So, of course, impairment of a health professional. But it also talks about substance abuse detection or prevention and control. So if that is the direction you're going in, you can click on one of those subjects and it'll take you to a fresh list of search results. So we have the abstract here. This is just a summary of the article. So a lot of articles are pretty long. This will help you figure out if you want to spend the time reading it. If you decide the article looks interesting enough, you're looking for a full text option here on the left. You should see either PDF full text or full text finder. We're going to click PDF full text, and that will open the full text of the article. Again, the abstract is just a summary. So we are going to want to look at the full text of the article in order to pull our research from it. So you'll read through the article. All of your options are here on the right side, so you can print the article, you can email it to yourself. This one that looks like a gold sheet of paper, that is the citation tool, so you can again get an APA citation for the article. And then depending on what PDF software you have, you may have a print or download button here. Again, if you're using this source for a discussion board post, you can download the full article and attach that to your discussion board post. Going back to my results list, you can see that most of the articles have a full text option. But if you come across an article that doesn't, so you could see, for example, this one doesn't have any of those options, that means you're not going to be able to read it in this database. If your search results give you a lot of results that you cannot read, you can use, back in the limiters, this button that says full text. That will ensure that you only get search results that you can actually read. So you can see out of our, I think it was 40 results, only 26 of them are actually readable. Again, that's just one of the many databases that we have. So feel free to experiment. Expect to do a few different searches. Don't think the first article you find will be the one for you. And good luck. Remember that there are sources like Ask a Librarian or the class discussion board if you need further assistance with your research.